Okay, so the first thing we want to do is correct our homework. I have the key here, and so if you could all please get your homework out. You're going to need to pause the video a lot as we go through this, so go ahead and pause it right now so the students can get their videos out, or get their homework out. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at 1 through 9. And then when everyone has had a chance to, I would just pause the screen. When everyone has had a chance to look at it, then we'll move on. Okay, now I've added number 10 to the screen. Remember to be very careful when you're doing this distance formula. And we have scaling because none of the sides have the same distance. Go ahead and pause the video. You did not have to do 11 or 12. But here are the answers for 11 and 12, just in case you did do those for extra practice. Now, on your quiz that's coming up, you are going to have word problems that are similar to these. So for number 13, they're telling you, and we want to kind of go back to our algebra skills here, that if QR is 7 less than twice x, well, remember, we're always kind of finding our starting point when we set up equations like this. So we are going to have QR is 7 less than twice x, so 2x minus 7. And then RS is going to be 61 less than 5 times x, and QS is 11 more than x, so that's x plus 7. And then because it's an equilateral triangle, we know that all these sides are equal. So we just set 2 of the sides equal to each other and solve for x. It's 18. And then what are they asking for? They want to know the measure of each side. So we're going to go ahead and plug our 18 back into each of these expressions for the sides. That's what's over here. And we're going to see that they're all 29. If you do a problem like this and it says that it's an equilateral triangle, you should know that all of them have to agree, right? So if they are not all equal, then something went wrong with your calculations. With number 14, this one is an isosceles triangle, so I have 2 sides that are congruent, and they tell me which ones are congruent. So even though I have 3 expressions, I need to pay attention to which sides are actually congruent. So that's why we set CD equal to DE. Right here, do your algebra, x is equal to 11, and then again we go back in and plug in, and this is where we need the CE expression, 10x minus 73, because we have to find all 3 sides. But for the isosceles, you need to focus on the 2 sides that are congruent. Okay, so that is homework number 1. If there are any other problems that anyone was unsure about, I would just ask if the sub could just ask if any of the students were confident about what they did, if they had the right answer, and they can talk through to the class how they got their answer. All right, now go ahead and pull out homework number 2. And you can, again, go through the same thing where you're looking at the video, pause it, give everyone a chance to look at the problems and determine if they got them right or wrong. So I would like to talk about number 5 a little bit. For this one, we have a lot of angles going on, but we're again just going to kind of go back to the basic knowledge that we know. So for angle 1 here, we figured that out because this is a straight line. This whole thing is 180, right? So 180 minus 118 gives us angle 1, which is 62. Now that I know this one, I have a triangle, so I'm using the fact that all of these add up to 180. So I take 180 minus my 62 minus 73, and that gives me the measure for angle 2. To find the measure of angle 3, even though they don't ask us to figure out what this angle is, you're going to want to do that. So you're going to take 180 minus 73 and figure out what that is. And then 180 minus this angle minus 49 will give us our 24. On number 6, we're back to our parallel lines. Remember, we're not going to forget those or leave those. We're going to keep using those. So here, if I start with this angle right here, and I take 180 minus the 52 minus the 47, angle 5 is going to be 81 degrees. So now I'm going to use my parallel lines. If this is going to be my transversal for these 2 parallel lines, we just have to be careful here to know that this whole angle right here is what is going to be the alternate interior with angle 1, right? We need to make sure we go from our line to our transversal and our line to our transversal. So angle 1 is going to be equal to whatever 5 plus 47 is. In this case, it's 128, that 81 plus the 47. We're going to do the same thing over here with angle 4. This is alternate interior angle with 5, whatever angle 5 is, plus this 52 here. So again, we need to, here's my transversal. I need to make sure that this is going from my line to my transversal and my line to my transversal. So 5 plus 81 is going to be equal to that 4, measure of angle 4. Okay, and then here are the answers to 8 through 11. Okay, here's number 12. For this one, we just need to recognize that this is a vertical angle right here. So that's where the setup of 6x minus 11 plus x plus 5 plus 81 equals 180 comes from. We're using this angle right here is also 6x minus 11 plus x plus 5 plus 81 is equal to 180. Once we know what x is, we can substitute that into 6x minus 11 and figure out that's 79 degrees. So then over here, where I'm adding these up to get to 180, I'm going to say that 4y minus 18 plus y plus 18 plus 79 is equal to 180. Okay, here's number 14. So again, we have a word problem, and they tell us the measure of angle r is equal to 5 more than twice x, and measure of angle s is 1 more than x, and measure of angle t is 16 less than 7 times x. So once I've set up my expressions, they didn't give that to us, I add them all together and set them equal to 180. Make sure you take whatever x is and plug it back into your values to get the actual measurement for the degree measurement. Okay, and then 15 and 16, you didn't have to do those, but if you did, you can go ahead and check those real quick. Alright, so that's it for the homework. The next thing we are going to do are the notes on the isosceles and equilateral triangles. So if you could go grab the first note page on the bookshelf, if my row leaders could go grab the first page on the bookshelf on the left side and pass that out.